Have you ever seen a garden breathe through stone? Not in grand castles or luxury resorts, but right in the quiet corners of ordinary homes, where wire meets rock and flowers dare to bloom from steel. This isn't just landscaping. This is poetry made visible, crafted by hands like yours. Stay with me, because what you're about to see may just change how you see your backyard forever. Welcome to Arkan Aesthetic Studio, a space where design meets soul and creativity meets calm. Today's video brings you stunning Gabion garden ideas, a heartfelt curation of natural beauty shaped with structure and stone. We've included timestamps throughout the video, so feel free to jump ahead to the ideas that speak to you most. And if you have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments. I'm always here, listening. These visuals are shared purely as inspiration. They're not blueprints, they're invitations. Take what speaks to you and reimagine it using the tools, textures, and love you already have. Your version is the right version. To some, I'm just another voice in a feed. But behind this camera is a small dream, and a little family that believes in beauty, even in hard times. This isn't just content, it's a piece of my story. Every like, every comment, every subscribe. It's more than support, it's belief. So thank you for watching, for being here. And if you see me, truly see me. Don't just scroll past. Help this dream stay alive. One, modern Gabion retaining wall ideas for sloped gardens. There's a quiet magic that happens when strong materials meet soft beauty. In the first garden, a low Gabion wall, made of cool river stones cradled by steel, gently hugs the earth beneath a row of blooming daisies and tulips. The slope it supports is not just a structural challenge solved, but a living tapestry of color. This is where function meets serenity. The sun warms the metal frame, and the flowers bloom fearlessly above it, like nature dancing atop an old stone rhythm. If you ever thought a retaining wall had to be harsh or dull, think again. Let it become a canvas. In the second scene, we see something bolder. Tiers of Gabion steps climb a woodland slope, terraced perfectly to hold rows of herbs and leafy greens. It feels like a vegetable amphitheater carved from the earth itself, organic yet incredibly intentional. The morning light slips between the trees, brushing over thyme, lettuce, and basil. It's a place where gardening becomes sculpture, where every layer has a story, every plant a role. You can almost hear the gentle crunch of gravel as you walk past, basket in hand, harvesting from walls you built with your own two hands. And then, the third image, simple, compact, elegant. The Gabion corner wraps like a low embrace around the flower bed. Tulips in reds and pinks burst upward as if lifted by the stones below. This isn't just edging. It's a frame for a moment of joy in a garden. One that you could build over a weekend with patience, a few tools, and a heart open to the outdoors. Here's a tip. Use stones of varied shapes and tones. Mix textures, smooth river rocks with rough granite, to let light dance differently across each section. Combine structure with softness by planting native flowers or drought-tolerant blooms like lavender or coreopsis along the top. They'll thrive with less water and love the elevation. Remember, Gabion doesn't mean rigid. It means enduring. It means creating something that belongs, something that feels grounded, yet alive. No fancy filters, no glossy perfection. Just earth, steel, stone, and your story growing between them. Two, DIY Gabion planters that blend rock and greenery beautifully. Sometimes, the most beautiful things in a garden are not just what blooms, but how it blooms. Look at this tall Gabion planter, quietly leaning against a red wooden fence. It doesn't beg for attention, yet it holds it gently. Filled with slate stones and bursts of pink, purple, and green, it becomes both sculpture and soil. There's a watering can resting nearby, petals fallen like whispers from the flowers above. It's not perfect, and that's exactly why it's wonderful. This could be your corner. A forgotten side of the yard turned into a living column of life and color. One afternoon, a few materials, a bit of care, and there it stands, tall and generous. Move to the round planter, its soft curves contrasting the ruggedness of the stone. Nestled on open grass, it cradles a bouquet of petunias and marigolds. Bees hum lazily through the summer air, drawn in by the riot of color. It doesn't need a spotlight. It is the spotlight. No complex structure, just wire, rock, and the magic of what you choose to grow. There's something powerful about the simplicity of it all. How a strong form can lift and celebrate delicate blooms. And then there's the smallest, most intimate one. A square Gabion planter on a wooden deck, with lavender rising proudly from its center. Around it, terracotta pots filled with herbs and garden tools leaning nearby suggest something ongoing. An everyday rhythm of tending, watering, watching things grow. This is not just decor. It's part of your daily dance with nature. The scent of lavender, the scrape of a shovel, the crunch of gravel underfoot. A gentle tip for your own build: choose plants with personality. Lavender for scent, succulents for texture, petunias for color. And remember, rocks hold warmth and plants remember. Gabion planters teach us something quiet but deep, that strength and beauty are not opposites. That even the harshest stone, when given a purpose and some sunshine, can hold life. So go ahead. Let your garden grow vertically. Let it bloom within a frame of steel and stone. Let it be wild and precise, all at once. Three, Gabion garden benches. Durable DIY seating ideas with style. There are places in a garden not meant for planting, but for pausing. This corner bench, solid yet calm, sits where two brick walls meet like old friends. Its foundation, wire cages filled with granite, feels grounded, timeless. A single slab of concrete forms the seat, cool and clean, while soft moss creeps up the bottom like nature's quiet reclaim. Three small flower pots perch on top, as if to say, even strength can be soft. And here, in this tucked-away nook, you find something rare, a reason to linger. Just a few steps away, the scene shifts. Now it's spring, bold and bursting. A rustic Gabion bench rests beside a sea of daffodils and tulips, yellow and red like sunlight and flame. The seat is a rough timber plank, slightly uneven, but full of character. You imagine sitting down after tending flowers, the scent of earth still on your hands, the hum of bees nearby. This is a bench that holds not only your weight, but also the stories of your garden, built by hand, aged by weather, softened by beauty. Then, under a blooming cherry tree, a more poetic bench waits. Gabion pillars rise to support wooden slats for sitting and leaning, while petals rain softly from above. A watering can rest beside it, forgotten in the stillness of the moment. The grass is dappled with pink. The air carries a scent both sweet and nostalgic. You don't sit here to rest. You sit to breathe, to remember, to feel. And what holds you is not just steel and stone, but the memory of every morning you spent tending, watching, waiting for this bloom. A thought for your own DIY version. Don't rush it. Let the materials speak. Choose wood that tells a story, stone that reminds you of somewhere you've been. Let moss grow. Let petals fall. Let your bench belong. Gabion benches are not about perfection. They're about presence. In a world that moves fast, here's a place that doesn't. Four, Gabion water features, serene fountains and ponds on a budget. Water has a way of softening everything it touches, even stone. In the first image, a quiet marvel sits among lavender and daisies. A circle of volcanic rock holds a small fountain, its water bubbling upward like a whispered thought. It sparkles in the sun, surrounded by blooms that lean in, curious, like nature is gathering around a story being told. There's no grandeur here, just honesty. And sometimes that's all you need. A space, a sound, a rhythm you can return to. If peace had a sound, this would be it. Then, in the second space, the design becomes vertical, like a poem written upward. A wall of Gabion rises with precision and weight, and from it flows a clear sheet of water, like glass in motion. Below, a basin catches the fall, and ferns lean close, drinking from the edges. Ivy curls around the wood fence, and the light falls gently across each leaf. It's a corner of the garden that seems to breathe slower than the rest. If your garden had a heart, perhaps this would be its beat. And lastly, the pond. Lily pads float like green moons across still water, koi fish circling below in streaks of red and gold. Gabion blocks form the banks, firm, geometric, but softened by flowers and time. This is not a monument. It is a meeting place. For birds, for bees, for you. There's a bridge of stone and wire crossing the pond, but it feels more like a bridge to stillness. One you can build with your own hands and cross every time the world feels too loud. And here's the quiet wisdom in all of this. You don't need a landscape architect. You need vision, patience, and a willingness to let nature take part in the design. Gabion water features do more than decorate. They soothe. They remind you to pause. They make your backyard not just something you see, but something you feel. And if water, stone, and sunlight can find harmony in your garden, maybe so can you. Five, Creative Gabion fencing ideas for privacy and style. Sometimes, the beauty of a garden lies not just in what it holds, but in what it holds out. In the quiet glow of early evening, a wall stands tall. Dark basalt stones sit firmly within the metal grids, a strong barrier at first glance, but softened as roses climb and hydrangeas bloom at its feet. The sunlight brushes across the rough stones like gold dust, and suddenly, the fence feels less like a wall and more like a canvas. Here, privacy is not a compromise. It's a design choice, a backdrop for color, for growth, for grace. Then, in a tucked-away patio space, something more intimate appears. Gabion sections alternate with warm reclaimed wood, like chapters of a story told in texture and time. Vines crawl upward, not rushed, but persistent. String lights hang gently, like stars borrowed for the night. A pair of lounge chairs lean back toward the piece, and candlelight flickers at the base. This fence doesn't just block the outside world, it invites you inward, into stillness. You feel it in your chest, in your breath, in the space between each rustle of the ivy leaves. And when the sun is high again, you see color burst along a more playful take. Bright pansies and wildflowers line a Gabion wall of river stones and scattered glass. Sunlight bounces off both bloom and rock with equal joy. There's structure, yes, but also spontaneity. The way the rocks stack, the way the flowers spill, there's a dance here. A reminder that fences don't have to be rigid or cold. They can be bright, playful, even a little wild. Here's the gentle takeaway. Gabion fences aren't about division. They're about definition. They say, this is your space. And in a world that so often feels loud and exposed, creating a place that's truly yours is more than design, it's self-care. You can start small. A single section, one panel wrapped in ivy, one pocket filled with bloom. And slowly, as the rocks settle and the vines climb, it becomes not just a fence, but a feeling. A place where strength and softness live side by side. And where you, finally, can breathe. Six, rustic Gabion fire pit designs for cozy garden nights. Fire has always drawn us together. In the cool hush of twilight, a square Gabion fire pit comes to life. Stone and flame, a simple combination that somehow makes everything feel grounded again. It flickers with purpose, not just to warm, but to welcome. Surrounding it, flower beds soften the hard edges, blooming quietly in the fire's orange glow. You can almost hear the laughter that lingers in the air, the clink of glasses, the gentle hum of voices sharing stories only told when the sky turns dark. Move closer, and the setup becomes even more intimate. On gravel, a small fire dances within a cage of rough stones. Around it, rustic log stools stand like sentinels, worn, strong, and ready for the next gathering. This isn't designed for display. It's for use. For barefoot evenings, for toasted marshmallows, for unexpected conversations that last until the last ember dies. Flower pots line the edges, alive and quietly watching. It feels handmade, because it is. Built not to impress, but to hold space. And then, deeper in the garden, under a canopy of string lights and stars, A round Gabion fire pit becomes the centerpiece of stillness. The fire glows like a heart in the center of a circle of wooden chairs. Blankets hang loose, drinks sit untouched for a moment longer, because no one wants to speak just yet. The crackle says enough. The trees lean in gently, and time softens its edges. There's no rush here, just heat, shadows, and a sense that you've arrived exactly where you need to be. Here's the quiet inspiration for your own build. You don't need perfection. You need presence. Choose your stone not just for shape, but for how it holds heat, how it holds light. Keep the design simple. Let the fire be the star. Let the rest come to life around it. Because sometimes, a Gabion fire pit isn't just a project. It's an invitation to gather, to listen, to belong. Seven, elegant Gabion pathways. Define your garden with stone and structure. Some paths don't just lead you through the garden, they bring you closer to yourself. Look here, where two cats rest quietly on Gabion edges, as if they've claimed this peaceful lane as their own. The gravel beneath is warm from the sun, while flowers bloom generously on both sides: lavender, hydrangeas, cosmos. A bench invites you to pause, garden tools left as if someone had just stepped away for a moment. There's no rush, only rhythm. This pathway doesn't divide space, it connects it. With stone and intention, it becomes the thread that ties every bloom together. Further down the garden, a zigzag path winds like a stream between beds of color. Gabion borders curve with it, strong but welcoming, filled with sun-warmed stone. The hose lies on the grass, still damp from watering. Everything about this scene feels lived in. Not staged, not polished, just honest. The way real gardens are. The path itself becomes a reminder that beauty doesn't have to be linear. That curves, like imperfections, are part of the charm. And then, a narrow way, straight, clear, defined. Gabion walls on both sides rise just enough to frame the path like a gallery. Tulips stand in salute, lavender hums with bees. The gravel crunches gently underfoot. Each step feels deliberate, sacred even. You don't walk quickly here. You experience this path. The contrast between stone and bloom makes every color pop more vividly. Its structure and softness. Balance. For your own space, start small, a side path, a corner walkway. Choose stones that feel like your landscape, local, familiar. Let flowers spill over the edge. Let cats lie wherever they please. Gabion pathways are more than design. They are presence. They are pause. They are proof that every step in your garden can feel like coming home. Eight, romantic Gabion flower arches for blooming backyard gardens. There's something almost fairy tale-like about a blooming garden arch. A structure that frames not just a path, but a moment, capturing the quiet romance of nature in its prime. And when it's made with gabions, the magic feels grounded in strength and simplicity. In the first image, we're welcomed by a soft archway, generously wrapped in radiant pink bougainvillea. Each bloom clings to the wire with effortless grace, while the rustic bench beneath invites a moment of pause. This is a simple DIY idea that pairs visual drama with structural ease. By using a light gabion frame and training bougainvillea or other climbers, you can create an entryway to serenity right in your backyard. Further along the journey, a stone-filled gabion tunnel stretches like a chaptered poem. Curved arches, wrapped with white wisteria and violet clematis, beckon you down a path of stepping stones laid into the grass. Here, design meets daydream. You don't need perfect symmetry, only commitment to patience, bloom, and light. Let the vines take their time. Let the structure hold space for their wild beauty. And finally, a gateway. A gabion arch elegantly rising over a flower-lined path, its base firm with stone and its crown brimming with small pink roses and fragrant jasmine. Underneath, fallen petals soften the soil like confetti after a celebration. This kind of arch can be placed at a garden's entrance or transition zone, symbolizing both welcome and wonder. If you're thinking of building one, start with curved steel rods or mesh panels and secure them into the ground. Fill the gabion columns with stones from your region. It keeps the look organic and cost-friendly. Then, plant climbers with staggered bloom times to enjoy color across the seasons. Bougainvillea for boldness, jasmine for fragrance, clematis for flair. Let these arches remind you, gardens are more than decoration. They're a form of living storytelling, one that grows with time, blossoms with care, and always has room for another chapter. Nine, gabion edging ideas to frame blooming flower beds beautifully. In the gentle hush of a garden afternoon, where bees hum softly and wildflowers lean into sunlight, a subtle transformation unfolds, not grand like a fountain, nor towering like a fence, but quietly beautiful. Gabion edging, the unsung hero of garden structure, shapes the bloom-filled corners of backyard sanctuaries with strength and simplicity. Imagine walking beside a patch of glowing tulips, their petals catching the morning light. Beneath them, a neat gabion border holds the earth gently in place, its mesh cradling pale river stones that echo the natural palette of the garden. This contrast, soft blooms against rugged stone, evokes the perfect balance of beauty and utility. These low gabion edges not only define space, but elevate it. And best of all, they're a DIY dream within reach. A few lengths of wire mesh, locally sourced rocks, and some time on your hands, and you've framed nature like art. In another corner, where roses and marigolds dance in color, a curved gabion structure rises softly from the ground. The stones are darker here, cool-toned granite adding drama beneath the vibrant blooms. There's a trowel left resting nearby, and flecks of soil spill slightly over the edge, a quiet sign that this garden is alive, loved, and tended by hand. That's the beauty of gabion edging. It doesn't try to hide its structure. It embraces it and lets the flowers take the stage. And then there's the meadow-like bed. Casual, a little untamed, and full of life. Bees flit from yellow to purple, and the wildflowers don't seem to care much for staying inside the lines. But the gabion edging still does its part. Small rectangular modules placed just so, guiding the shape without imposing order. It's more than just function. It's form in harmony with the free spirit of the garden. For those dreaming of starting their own backyard Eden, Gabion edging offers more than just boundary. It's durable, drain-friendly, eco-conscious, and completely customizable. Use upcycled rocks or bricks for charm. Add a touch of moss for age. And remember, even the smallest of frames can hold the wildest beauty. Because in a garden where flowers speak and stones listen, even the borders become part of the story. Vertical Gabion flower walls to showcase spring blooms in small spaces. Sometimes, the most magical gardens aren't the ones that sprawl for acres, but the ones that rise, quietly, toward the sky. In a corner where the sun pours in and shadows of leaves dance across the bricks, a vertical Gabion wall transforms an ordinary wall into a living canvas. Soil is nestled between steel mesh, and violas and yellow pansies peek out like shy guests at a morning tea. The texture of the earth contrasts the industrial grid, but together they create harmony. You can almost hear the bees buzzing in approval nearby, as the scent of blossoms begins to rise with the heat of the sun. For those with limited ground but abundant imagination, this is your invitation. A few wire panels, some garden soil, and your favorite annuals, and suddenly, a bare fence becomes a celebration of life. Choose trailing plants like lobelia, or the sturdy bursts of snapdragons. These vertical walls ask for little but offer much: color, character, and a place where butterflies pause. Just beside a white garden shed, another wall stands taller. Gabion columns filled with stone cradle cheerful black flower boxes overflowing with daisies and petunias. There's something satisfying in the mix of raw stone and vibrant color, of order and wildness. It doesn't try too hard, and that's its beauty. And then there's the third, rows of terracotta pots carefully hung on a gravel-filled grid. Simple, honest, utterly charming. It's the kind of setup that whispers of weekend mornings spent barefoot on the patio, with a watering can in one hand and coffee in the other. Each pot a chapter, each bloom a verse. There's poetry here, in this wall of flowers. Tip for the soul and the hands. When crafting your own vertical Gabion flower wall, think of it as a living painting. Layer it slowly. Let it evolve. Choose plants not only for color but also for scent and seasonality. And don't worry about perfection. Nature doesn't. So whether you're working with a small patio, a balcony nook, or the quiet side of a garage wall, know this: you can always grow upward. Even a single square meter can become a bloom-filled masterpiece, and in doing so, turn the smallest space into a sanctuary. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read everyone.